Okay, let's play some damn chess. Slut from China. Street whore. With
Cool.
Spifter.
I was raised in kind of a conservative Christian home. Um, my
God
parents
damn
were
it.
very kind people,
God damn
very
it.
conservative Christians, though, and the kind that we read the Bible together. I would see my dad with his Bible on his lap every evening, reading the Bible. But we were allowed to question our faith, ask questions of the Bible, of God. We weren't expected to take everything
Yes.
exactly literally, except, my father did, and that caused him a lot of trouble. I remember one night coming out and finding him literally crying while reading his Bible. And I said, "Dad, what's wrong?" And he was reading the story of the great flood, and he said, "I don't know what God was thinking, killing all those pregnant women and children and infants and puppies and so forth." And so we had a good conversation about that. So I grew up in that kind of an environment where I had a solid faith. We went to church every Sunday without fail, and occasional Wednesdays, and I participated in youth group and Sunday school and so forth. And so I had a solid belief in God, the God of the Bible. And I had questions about the Bible and specific questions about how could God do certain things, but I never questioned the God of the Bible. I never questioned Jesus as being God's son and so forth. Never had serious questions about theories of atonement and so forth. I eventually became a United Methodist minister, went to seminary and so forth, and became a pastor, and that ended up being disastrous for me because I
Come on, you bitch.
was very liberal in my faith, free to ask questions, and always had a liberal love for humanity that some people feel the Bible and their faith constrains against certain groups of people. And as a United Methodist, I was appointed, that is, a bishop told me where to go be a pastor. And so I was appointed to a church that had a different approach to loving people than I did. And it caused a great deal of problems when I started preaching about inclusiveness or inclusivity of different groups of people that they felt the Bible wanted us to exclude. And so my tenure as a pastor just lasted less than a year at that church. Left the pastoral ministry and pursued other types of ministry and became a chaplain. And
Oh, it's time to
loved
fuck
that.
up. Fuck you
I
up.
served as a hospital chaplain. I went on and received more advanced training, professional level training at being an interfaith chaplain. And that gave me an introduction really to people dying and helping people pass from this life to the next life. And it was people of all kinds of faith, or no faith at all, or a different way of defining faith, people who had a faith from more of a humanitarian perspective, or Buddhists who wouldn't use the word faith necessarily. But I began to help a lot of people transition, never expecting that I would be one to transition so early in my life and have a near-death experience. But it was that experience as a chaplain, dealing with death and dying so frequently, almost daily, as part of my journey that really transformed me, I think, and prepared me for what I would soon experience in my own near-death experience. And afterwards, really in the aftermath of that, that I, as I began processing what had happened to me, for which there was very little actual preparation in this life, but I think my experiences as a chaplain perhaps gave me a little more preparation than it gives a lot of people.
Being a hospital chaplain, that is quite something, to be able to help people cross over. Did you ever experience anybody seeing anybody, coming to greet them?
I did. There were people that would develop a sense of clarity before they died. And sometimes they would say, my wife came to visit me. Or, I saw somebody that came, an uncle or whatever, came to visit me, and they knew that they were about to die. And whereas before they might have been, they might have had dementia and were not very clear in their thinking, or they were pretty advanced in their condition where they weren't able to speak very well, they would develop a sense of clarity and be able to speak about that. And so there were, several cases where that happened, or somebody would have a dream, or asked to have their bed moved closer to the window because they knew they were going to die at the morning light because somebody had told them so. So there were definitely occasions like that where people had seen or heard or spoken to somebody. And it was always a beautiful thing.
How close to their death would they experience it? Like the day before or so?
Usually the day before, or even hours before.
Oh my! Oh.
Yeah, I've heard that from a few people as well. That they get this moment of clarity, and then they kind of get ready. That's awesome. Yeah. That must have been quite fulfilling to do that.
I loved it. I loved that part of my job.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us about your NDE. What happened?
So I live in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and there's a mountain called Mount Sequoia, on top of which is a retreat center. Beautiful. And I grew up here, and it's always been a sacred place for me. And it just seems to have like sacred energy. So since I was a teenager, I've been going up on top of that mountain. Anytime I wanted to be alone, to meditate, I would bring my guitar up there to just play. Or friends and I would go up there when we just felt like we needed to be immersed in that kind of energy. So that's been a part of my experience since the last 40 years, really. And so this was a Sunday in late November, and it was a beautiful, beautiful day. And friends and I had gone up there again to the retreat center, and we were just dancing and talking. Music was playing, and we were having a good time. And I started feeling just strange. The world began to take on kind of a sparkle. And I went and sat down on a bench and was just watching my friends, and things just didn't feel quite right, but I couldn't point out what was wrong. But I was looking around, and there was just this kind of shimmer in the air. And over here, I was watching some children play on some playground equipment. And I was looking at the trees, and they were so beautiful in the autumn. The air was crisp outside, and everything was just kind of golden and shimmery, and I just felt happy. And I had this sense of the energy kind of coming up from the earth already, but something didn't quite feel right. I kind of had a sense of being high, and I was looking around at my friends, and I thought maybe I should call out for help, except I didn't have a sense of panic. One thing that occurred to me is that my blood sugar might be low, and that maybe I needed help with that. And I was barefoot, and my shoes were quite a distance away. And I guess I wasn't thinking quite clearly, because I thought, well, I probably need to go get my phone and either call for an ambulance or call for help, or call my wife, And then I thought, no, I don't have time for that. It occurred to me that I might be dying, but I didn't know why. I didn't have any reason to think that I would be dying. I didn't have the heart condition that I knew about. I didn't have any problem, except I did have occasional bouts with hypoglycemia. I'm not a diabetic, but sometimes my blood sugar would drop. So I was just sitting there on a bench, but things didn't feel right, and the earth, the world around me was just, it wasn't getting dark, it was getting brighter and sparkly. And I was just kind of amazed, and I thought, if I'm dying, this is kind of cool. And then I suddenly found myself this is an ineffable experience, really. I don't really have words to describe what's happening next, but I'll do my best. I found myself kind of like underwater, but kind of like in a womb. The water was warm, and I was floating. It was like being under a sea, like a purple, violet kind of sea. And I was just floating there. My arms were stretched out, my legs were stretched out, and I was just floating and looking around. And I was looking up, and I could see the surface of the water above me, and all around, and I could see it rippling. So I knew I was under some kind of water, but it felt like I was in a womb. And I thought, this feels so good. Other than that thought, I didn't really have any other thoughts. I didn't really even think I'm dead. It was more like I said a second ago, wow, this is cool. I was just floating there, and it felt good, and it felt warm, like being immersed in a warm bathtub. Just a sense of peace and calm. And I don't know how long I was there, but I was just enjoying the sensation and the peace and the comfort. And then I felt hands touching me from below, and they started lifting me up toward the surface. And where I was, it was darker water, and as they raised me up, the water got brighter and brighter, and then I stopped a few feet from the surface, and they held me there kind of in suspension. I was kind of floating a little bit, and I knew that I had a choice to make at that point, that if I broke the surface, at this point, I knew that I was almost dead. And I knew that if they pushed me through the surface higher, that I would be dead and there would be no coming back. At least this is what I thought at the time. And I knew that I had a choice. I didn't know what was on the other side of that surface, though. But I felt so good, I knew it couldn't be a bad thing. I had no thought at this time of my life here. I didn't think of my wife, who I love dearly. She's life to me. I didn't think of my kids. I didn't think of anything other than the moment that I was in. But I did know I had a choice. And so I kind of thought, let's go for it. I guess that's just my nature. So as soon as I had that thought, let's go for it, they lifted me up, and I came through the water, and water spilled off me. It was purple water, I think I mentioned that. And I came through the water, and I saw the moon, and I saw the sky, and then it was just an endless stretch of ocean, kind of rippling with gentle waves, not big waves, more like you would see in a swimming pool, just gentle waves, but endless, this purple ocean. And I saw above me the moon, and I saw stars, but the sky was purple, but kind of like aurora borealis everywhere up there. The purple was changing, and then it was kind of streaked with aqua a little bit, and it was like aurora borealis, but mostly purple. And I saw the moon, and then the hands just kept lifting me and lifting me and lifting me. And then I just kept really thinking, wow, let's really go for this. And they lifted me up, and I went through the atmosphere, and then I started soaring through the cosmos. And stars were streaking by, and nebula, giant gas clouds, and I guess galaxies. I mean, I was just soaring through space, and it was just exciting to me. I felt no fear. It was fun. I was having like the time of my life. I was just like, this is so cool. And it did occur to me that if this is death, this is amazing. And then I slowed down gradually, and I came to a stop, and there was a purplish nebula over here to my right. There was a purplish nebula over here, and there was just stars, 360 all around me. And then these beings approached. This was so cool. They were beings of pure energy. They had bodies, but they didn't have human form. They were like flickering flames, and they were spinning, and they were like dervishes. And then suddenly I heard like the most amazing music I had ever heard, and it was like the music of God. It was everything was music, and everything was God. And I understood that I was in God. I was part of God. I just had this intuition that I was submersed in and part of God, and that this music, oh my gosh, it was just amazing, so amazing. Have you ever heard music that just makes you want to weep? It is so beautiful, like orchestral music. It was that times 100, because it just filled my whole soul. It was just everywhere in the whole universe, and it was the way God was speaking through this music. And then all of these beings that approached were also singing. They were spinning in circles like dervishes, just spinning and dancing, but they were also singing. each had their own song, but each song was part of the grander symphony. But if I paid attention to each, like if I zoomed in and listened to each piece, it was like in the same key, and it was like part of the grander theme. It was like a counterpoint to the main theme. But it all fit together in one just magnificent symphony that just broke my heart. It just made me want to weep. It was so beautiful. I wish I could hear that again, and I know that someday I will. And I know that I'm participating in that even now. And since then, I have started writing music like crazy. But it was just so amazing. And then I asked one of them, "Who are you?" And the answer, every now and then, if I focused on one of them, they were just like flames, and everything was like purple for some reason. They were like purple, and I don't know all the different variations of purple, but they were all like variations of purple. And but flickering flames and whipping around and around and around, and like they were dancing. And I asked one of them through my mind, and I said, "Who are you? Who are you?" With like this sense of amazement. And the answer I got was, "Don't you know you're one of us?" And that just kind of blew me away. And then I looked at my own body, and I had like these flickering purplish flames coming off my own fingers. And I thought, whoa, this is cool. I thought, I can be a flame like them if I want to, but I didn't totally want to. I wanted to retain my form. Now, my form already was kind of translucent at this point. I had an energy body. I didn't have a physical body. But I started to develop like these aurora borealis looking kind of flames coming off my fingers, and I thought, wow, I'm one of them. What does this mean? But I didn't have time to even ponder that. What it means that I am one of them. I've since been pondering that a little bit. But anyway, I was immersed in this just experience of soul. It's ineffable. I can't find the words, and I'm a writer. It just, the beauty of it just made me want to just weep. And then over here, from out of the nebula, I noticed that there was a brighter light that started to move toward me. And when I turned that direction, my heart just leapt up inside. Just this sense of, oh my gosh, what is coming? And it was just this sense of joy, of wonder and excitement. And as she moved toward me, she started to take shape. And she was a woman. And I knew that this was God who was appearing to me as a woman. I believe God can appear in different forms. But God appeared to me as a woman. And she was purple, she had purple skin and kind of long purpley hair, kind of ageless, maybe late 40s, I don't know. Long robes that were like flowing, like there was this wind blowing, and just had this depth of wisdom just flowing, from her, and her eyes just had this compassion that was just wanted, you just wanted, I wanted to just drop to my knees, not in worship, but in awe and at the love and grace and beauty and awe that I was feeling already. And she came up to me and we communicated in a sense, but at this point I don't really recall words. There was just this wave of love that hit me, and this wave of recognition that hit me. This wave of, oh my gosh, I just wanted to wrap my arms around her and be embraced by her. And eventually she asked me if I wanted to go for a walk. And where do you walk in space, right? But we kind of walked side by side, and I think it's because looking at her face to face was just too much. I just couldn't handle. I couldn't even speak. I couldn't form any words being face to face with her. And so we moved side by side, and then there was a bench that we sat on, right in the middle of space. And she said that she needed to show me a few things. And here it gets a little painful, because I've had a lot of trauma in my life. And I don't know how much you want to. I'll share. It's something I haven't really shared before this with people very much, and had never really gotten therapy for. But when I was 8 years old, I was sexually abused by two men at church camp. I had gone to a Bible church camp, and they groomed me there, and they took me out at night, made me feel really special because of all the kids. I was the chosen one, and they took me night fishing, and then they abused me, and that really messed me up. I was 8 when this happened. That messed up my ideas of God, my relationship with God, messed with my sense of self-worth. It embedded in me a great sense of shame. Even though they were the ones that were abusing me, they were telling me that I was a homosexual. Well, that's not the word they used. And that I was going to go to hell because of it. And that if I told anyone, the police would put me in jail, and that my parents would disown me, and all kinds of things. And so I really took all of that in and embedded that as part of my core being, and lived with that for up until this moment. And shame is insidious. It just affects every part of one's life. And I was carrying this level of shame throughout everything from this point forward. Every decision that I made in my life was informed by that kind of shame. And she showed me other ways that I had been hurt that had to do with shame. One time, my mother really shamed me. Now, my mother was loving. I guess I feel like I need to defend her. Loving mother, but there was one time when she really shamed me. She found out that I had had sex with my girlfriend when I was 17, and she literally told me, "I'm ashamed of you." And I was drum major in our high school band, and she told me she was going to make me resign.
I do.
Because of it. She didn't. But after what had happened when I was 8, and then this, that was a shame around sexuality again, that really, really hurt. And she showed me the effects of that, even, because that had lasting effect on me throughout my adulthood. And it's not that she just showed me these. It was, she showed me these at a deep level. The lasting effects of these on my life. And then there was the whole church thing. Because I actually felt that when I was exiled as a pastor, really, I felt a lot of shame around that, believe it or not, even though I was right. I was just. It was a just cause. It cost me all of my friends, because as a pastor, your life is built around the church, and it just cost me my whole life and my livelihood. And I had a lot of doubts about, and my bishop kind of even hammered this in, you really blew that, you should have handled it differently. And so I had a lot of shame around that too. So I had a lot of issues around shame that eventually led me to becoming an alcoholic. And it almost cost me my marriage. It really, I had a lot of problems that I don't want to get into really, but at one point I was arrested and spent the night in jail. Thankfully, that was a wake-up call for me. After that night, I never drank again, and it was a turning point, really. So it was the best thing that ever happened to me. But that buildup of shame is what led me to that point. So she kind of helped me see a lot of that in a very kind and loving and gracious way. But it didn't stop there, because the journey continued to a more painful area where she began showing me ways I had caused harm. And that was just almost unbearable. They talked about a life review. I didn't have the same kind of life review that I've read about other people having, but I guess it was similar. She showed me a few instances where I had hurt other people, and I did experience that hurt from their point of view. And it was almost like the way my mother had hurt me with her careless words, I experienced my own careless words and the effect that had on others, and there were plenty. I've hurt a lot of people with my words. I haven't done anything major wrong in my life. I've never been abusive or anything, but I have hurt plenty of people just through carelessness with things that I have said. And there have been times that has been intentional. And she showed me those. And then there's been times where it's just been pure carelessness. or pride. A lot of it has been driven by pride. My own hubris, and feeling like I needed to defend myself, so I'm going to hurt them. And
I do.
it's hard. It's hard to be shown the effect of your words and the effect of your actions. And, it was hard to relive my own trauma. It was harder to live somebody else's trauma that I caused.
I do.
I'm glad I did. I'm glad that she showed me that, because I have grown a lot through that. But I think I wouldn't want to go through that again. It was hard. And I was weeping. After all of this, I was weeping. After both sides of the coin, I guess you might say. And then she gave me a message.
I do.
That is the only message I would feel like I needed to share with the world. But I don't think it was given for the world. She gave this message to me after this experience.
God damn it.
She said, "Randy, you are beloved." And that just made me weep, because those are the words I have always needed to hear. Those words wiped away the shame. They wiped away the doubt, the confusion. They just brought light into my life, and they just brought love into my life. The knowledge that I am beloved by God,
I do.
by Goddess, just brought me to my knees, and just made me weep. Just made me weep. And she wrapped her arms around me, and I could feel her physical presence at this point.
I do.
Randy, you are beloved. And there's something about the word beloved that goes beyond loved. For me, it means loved and cherished together. And
Damn it.
I needed to hear those words, because I never felt loved and cherished, because I never felt worthy of being loved and cherished. And now I do. She didn't send me back as a prophet or a minister to share these words, or I don't think she did. She didn't ordain me or commission me, and I don't feel like I'm sent back to be a preacher or a minister or anything like that. I feel like those words were given to me because I needed to hear them. But I think they're words that can heal the world if the world will just receive them. Because if we believe we're beloved, then my God, why would we hurt each other? Why would we send bombs anywhere? We wouldn't. We would just love each other. And I think that's the way it's meant to be.
Your life review, which was a life review, being as painful as it was, is going to help a lot of people, to be honest. Because this happens more often than we know. And hurt people. So that was incredible. So what happened after that? Did she send you back?
Yes. I suddenly woke up and I was on the floor, and there was an ambulance crew working on me, and I woke up and they said, "Mr. Reyes, you're having a heart attack," and they took me in an ambulance to the hospital, and I immediately had the heart cath and so forth. What happened was I went to ground. I've talked about how I basically went into a cocoon for a year. Prior to this, I was a very social person, a musician. I would go out at least once a week and play and perform, and I would go out socially 4 or 5 times a week to hear other people gig, I'm also a poet and would go out and perform poetry, or go to poetry slams or so forth, or just go out socially with friends. I was just always out, going out to dinner and so forth, going to art shows. Every night, really, there was something going on. And
God damn it.
after this, I stopped going out. I stayed home for a year. During that year, it's hard to recall a time I went out. And the thing is, I wasn't depressed at all. I would have friends check up on me, and I would say, no, I'm not depressed. I just don't feel like going out.
Oh, fucking Christ.
And during this time, I was experiencing a tremendous amount of creativity. It was like fireworks going off inside my heart. I was writing songs, writing poems, just dancing at the house, but I had no compulsion to go out and share my art with anyone. I was creating art for me. And, or if I wasn't doing that, I was just sitting quietly, doing a lot of meditation and visiting with the cardinals. There were 4 cardinals, redbirds, that would come to my window every day. And I've got a bush outside my window, and they started visiting me every single day, landing on that bush. And I just felt like they were messengers. In the south of the United States, I don't know if this is true elsewhere, but in the south of the United States, cardinals are thought of as messengers from beyond, messengers from relatives who have passed, or sometimes messengers from the divine. And I had 4 that started visiting me, and I began to think of them as reassurance from the divine that she was still with me and that everything was going to be okay. And that was basically, or a reminder that I'm beloved. And so I just spent the year in a cocoon, just growing, I guess maybe developing wings. I don't know. I don't want to push that metaphor too far, I guess. But reflecting a lot, writing a lot. I wrote my first novel from start to finish. I say to finish, now I'm rewriting it, basically. But I'll publish it soon, and wrote a lot of songs. Just learning more about who I am and what I believe. Well, let me rephrase that. More learning what I don't believe, because I've become way more spiritual and far less religious. And I'm okay with that, and I'm way more okay with mystery. I kind of enjoy mystery. It just doesn't bother me at all. I have developed this sense of a lot of people who have gone on to the other side and then come back. They find dissatisfaction in this world and want to return. my experience here has been a little different. It's true that I do feel kind of like an alien here. Sometimes I feel like an observer in a world that has just gone crazy. This world feels so insane to me. But it's the people that are that way, not the world. This world is pretty awesome, really.
I do.
So I find a lot of dissatisfaction when my own nation is bombing other nations for, I won't get political, but when nations are bombing nations and people are being cruel to other people, it just makes no sense to me, having experienced a sense of ultimate love and ultimate peace and ultimate grace, and knowing that it's not supposed to be that way, and knowing that I am one of those dervishes, one of those spirit beings that's interconnected and that can sing a song like they sing, and knowing that we're all that. People just don't know it. We just need to wake up to that reality. So returning has in some ways left me in kind of this liminal space, this space of not knowing what my call is or what my reason for being here is, but also a sense of being okay with that. But I don't feel this urgent need or want to return there, because I don't feel this duality that there is really that different from here. This world is pretty awesome. If you just go for a walk and look at the trees and the flowers. Here where I live, the daffodils are starting to blossom, and the red buds are just now starting to, and the maples have been blossoming or budding for the last 2 weeks. Signs of spring are everywhere. There's regrowth, and this world is just pretty amazing. And there's really just continuity from here to the other place.
God,
I'm alive here like I was alive there. It's just a different mode of being. So I'm happy here like I was happy there. I just wish it's people that are kind of messing things up. But I kind of understand why. People just haven't woken up to the reality that we are really all one, and we are really just all part of the divine. And we just need to learn how to sing our part in that bigger song. We all just need to learn how to do our part in the dance. And we're all going to be fine in the end. But we just got to stop killing each other here and stop saying hurtful words. It really all begins with hurtful words. Everything we do, and I guess I can't control, anything that happens in Washington or in Jerusalem or Tehran or anywhere else. But what I've learned is the most important thing for me is just to control my words, because in my life review, it was my words that caused the most harm.
Well, I definitely think that just speaking out has a ripple effect out into the world anyway. And whatever you do, you set the example for other people to do. I mean, that's what Jesus said. It wasn't do what I say, it's do what I do.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe you were a willing dervish before, in a previous life?
Well, I think we all are at all times, really. I'm not really sure that there was a previous life that's substantially different from this life. It's all a continuity. I guess I don't really know how to phrase this. I do believe in reincarnation.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Who I am now is unique in that the self is very much the physical body and the energy body, the spiritual body, and the social body and all that. So I will never be me again, because a lot of who I am is my DNA, and a lot of my behaviors are encoded in my DNA. So this, who I am now, is unique in all of history. And I just think that's beautiful. I will never be again. And that's something to be celebrated. There's no one like me. There has never been anyone like me. And that's just awesome. As for whether I have been a whirling dervish in a previous life, now do you mean like an actual dervish, like, are they Sikhs? Are the dervishes Sikhs?
They're Sufis.
Sufis, yeah. I think it's possible that I might have been because of my connection with that. But I do love to, when I dance nowadays, I do love to spin.
I
don't just dance the way most people. I'm always spinning and spinning and spinning. And so I think it's possible.
I do. I saw myself
and
see
that the essence of that
I do.
came forward.
I do.
But I think we all are in.
I do.
I mean, I don't really know if anybody's had an experience like me on the other side.
I do.
But my sense is that we are all energy beings. And so we bring that energy forward with us. So I don't really know. What do you think?
I did a regression years ago, and my soul group was indigo color.
Oh,
And I
yeah?
learned that groups have got certain colors. And to me, the purple violet would be like the highest level, the most spiritual level. And that would fit in with the dervishes being so closely connected, which is also why we love climbing the mountain. So to me, there's definitely a tie, because you get shown something that's relevant to your life
I do.
Interesting.
specifically. But I mean, I can't tell you, I don't have the answers, but that is what I've seen.
Yeah. I would be interested to find out. I've never done a regression. I would love to do a regression sometime to see. I'm not sure what my beliefs are about reincarnation. I do believe in reincarnation. I'm just not exactly sure how much of us is reincarnated, if that makes sense.
Well, if we all have one oversoul, the oversoul can incarnate at once in a few bodies, and also in various time periods. And if time doesn't exist, then there is really no past life or no future life. But I see it more like a spiral, where there's certain time points that meet at the same place. And that is where those lines would overlap, where in the spiral you get to a certain point. Yeah, to me it's fascinating, because you could, even if you did a past life regression, tap into an energy that might not even be yours, but might have a link. And so you never really know for sure. But to me it's like, what truth can you gain from it that gives clarity in this life, or that brings you peace, or that brings you closer to the truth?
Yeah. I'm going to find somebody that does that, if I can find somebody trustworthy.
The fact that they were singing, and you're a musician, and you are definitely one of them, there's no doubt in my mind. Do you feel like, I know I listened to your latest song, it is absolutely beautiful, absolutely. When we are being creative, we're channeling the Creator through us. It doesn't really come of us, it comes through us. Do you feel more like you're channeling that information now more consciously, that you're bringing that love energy through in your music and your writing now?
Oh, definitely. Because I can hardly not. I don't know, grammatically, I don't know if that makes sense. I can hardly not write music now. It just flows through me, and just have to write it. The songs that I'm producing just, I usually start with the lyrics, but they just flow, and then the music just flows, and they just come together, and it's just amazing how they come. And I can write maybe, in the last 3 months, I've probably written 20 songs, which is quite a lot for me. I used to struggle to write songs, really. I performed a lot of covers and then a few originals. But now the originals are just coming, and I'm very intentional about when that's happening. I just connect to the divine source. When I pray, I don't pray with words. I just pray with spirit and connection. So I meditate, and then I just kind of, I'm stumbling with words, but I just open up a channel, and I feel the energy, start to flow. And that's how I know I'm praying, because I feel connected to the divine. And then when I do that, it's like the creative energy just sparks. And that's when I just start writing, and the words just start flowing, and the music just starts flowing. And I have the whole idea of the song, and then I have to contain it in some kind of a container, and then I have to, put it musically in through my guitar or through the computer. I can compose a lot on my computer with computer software. But yeah, it's definitely intentional.
That sounds really exciting.
Yeah, I love it.
I hear what you're saying, that energetic connection, because you can kind of feel it now. It's tangible. It's not something that's, you're not just talking to something that you don't know what it is. You now have a connection.
Yeah, and that's the thing with my spirituality now, is it's experiential. There's really no doctrine behind it. In fact, I almost reject any kind of doctrine when people start trying to put the experience into in doctrinal terms. I almost step back and go, now wait a minute, that's like it's like trying to. It's like the difference between reading a book about dancing and actually dancing, or writing a book about dancing and actually dancing. I would rather be dancing. Or the difference between air or talking about air and breathing. I would rather breathe than talk about the air. So my spirituality now is almost entirely experiential. Rather than doctrinal. So I don't really concern myself much nowadays with trying to put into words or describe in theory anything about God, Goddess, or the afterlife, really. I participate in a lot of online groups, and people have all kinds of opinions.
Right.
And doctrines and so forth.
Right.
And I'm glad that works for them. And I don't go on there and try to debate anybody's opinion. Because some people need that kind of a framework. We all need answers. I should say we all. A commonality among a lot of people, maybe the majority of people, is that we need answers. We search for answers. We need things to make sense. And I think that's a big part of the human brain, is to try to make sense of the world. And so people need to make sense of the afterlife. And a lot of people want certainty about their soul continuing into the afterlife, and so they want some kind of a doctrine that assures them of that. Well, I've had that experience of that, so I don't need any kind of doctrine to explain it. And if anybody's watching this and is asking the question, is there a heaven? Yeah, there is. I don't know that I would put the word heaven on it because that comes with a lot of connotations, but I experienced a type of heaven that I never would have guessed was there. And maybe your heaven is going to be quite different because I've read a lot of NDE stories and they all seem highly individualized to me. And I'm perfectly okay with that. If somebody else's experience is different from mine, but it's an authentic and real experience that gives them a sense of peace and a sense of certainty. Man, I think that's great. What I experienced was just mind-blowing and awesome and wonderful and amazing for me. And I have no reason to doubt that it was real because it was so vivid to me. So that's the only assurance I could give you is that I've been there and I've come back. And yeah, it's real and it's awesome. And I think you're going to get to experience that too. And I hope you hear the music and I hope you get to dance. And I hope you know that you are beloved.
That's made me almost tear up. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're right. It's about the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like you say, people are all in different places at the moment. Some haven't had that experience yet. And, they'll get there. They'll get there.
Yeah.
How can people see your music? How can they listen to your music?
They can find me on YouTube. Look for Randy Riverstone Grace. I'm only starting to put songs out there, but there should be several out there probably by the time people watch this. They can find me on Facebook as Randy Riverstone Grace as well. I'm sure they can just...
Well, that was just amazing. The way you've described it is more in depth than I've heard anybody. Like I've heard people having tours of heaven, and it's just to be able to feel it tangibly. I always felt like I was there. So thank you so much for that, because
goddamn fucking
that is like taking people on the journey with you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Jesus.
Yeah. Before we go, could you give us one last message for the viewers?
Try to remember that there's more to this world than what you see when you're walking around.
Fucking cunt
And
crushed.
things like road rage,
Fucking crushed.
getting mad at another driver who cut you off, really don't matter. That kind of thing just doesn't really make sense in the long run.
I do.
Because we're all doing the best we can. We all have issues. And we're really all spiritual beings. And we're all beloved. And on the other side, we all love each other. So why can't we just love each other here? When you've been on the other side and experienced that kind of love and grace, and come back here, it's so shocking to see how people treat one another. And not just strangers, but how sometimes we treat our family and friends and our own. We need to learn how to watch our words, because it's our words that are really the most hurtful. Words begin with thoughts, so we also need to learn how to watch our thoughts. And I don't want to become a preacher. I wasn't sent back to be a preacher. But I was asked, what would I share? And I guess that's it. Watch what we say, learn how to love each other, and walk through the world understanding that we really are beloved. We're loved and we're cherished. And that changes your whole orientation to how we walk through the world and how we treat other people.
And so I'm like lit. I'm so excited. This information is amazing. It's tits. This is the best thing that I could ever learn about Earth. And so I go back in front of the table of beings, and I'm like, oh my God, guys, thank you so much. Yes, I'm so glad that I came here for this information. This is the information I've been searching for my whole life. I am so grateful. My near-death experience happened in March of 2019 as a result of a drug overdose. Before my experience, my life was full of chaos and trauma, all the kinds of trauma. My parents had both committed suicide when I was in my early 20s as a result of their drug addiction and living a lifetime of poverty. So I had been like a very traumatized person before my experience. At some point in my life, I decided that I would never be a victim ever again because I felt very victimized by circumstance my whole life. I decided that I would be the perpetrator in people's lives because I didn't even know that there was other roles to play. I thought it was only victim and abuser. I didn't even know you could just like be a good, decent person. That wasn't in my realm of understanding because it wasn't the lifestyle of the family that I grew up in.
Boom.
So when I had my near-death experience, the first part of my experience was a life review. And it was pretty intense because, again, like I caused a lot of harm. I was a traumatized person who maliciously went around traumatizing other people. I was a drug addict for 20 years. 10 of those years I spent in prostitution and in and out of homelessness. So I had manipulated and caused a lot of harm to a lot of people. And in my life review, that was all flooding back at me. Not in like a scary way where I have to be super scared at every move that I make throughout my life, but just in a way that made me recognize that, wow, I did a lot of damage.
Damn it.
I honestly didn't even know that I was doing damage to other people. I knew that I was like kind of ruthless. I knew that I was pretty dominant, but I didn't realize the way that I was making people feel. And in my life review, that all came flooding into me. Not as judgment, not as condemnation, just as truth. This is literally how I made other people feel. And then I experienced all my traumas all over again from the other person's point of view and from my point of view. And it just kind of felt like I was drowning in an ocean of anguish. And at the time of my experience, I was a staunch militant atheist. I didn't believe that anything happens after you die. But I was kind of piecing things together, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm dead right now because I was seeing a lot of dead people in my life review. And in that moment, I thought, oh, okay, it's not that nothing happens when you die. It's that you go to hell. Because it kind of felt like how people describe hell. It was just like agonizing and brutal, and there was like no goodness and no joy and nothing that would feel anything like what people describe heaven to feel like. While I was in my life review, I started to hear my father, who had been dead by suicide for 11 years at that point in time. I started to hear him chanting out to me, and he was saying, "You are worthy of all the love in the universe. You are worthy of all the love in the universe." And he just kept saying it over and over and over again. And I didn't believe those words, but I trusted his voice. And so I started to follow him into the light of the experience. And it kind of felt like in Star Trek when they like beam you up, it just felt like I kind of like noticed that there was a light, and then all of a sudden I was dissipated into the light. And that feeling was way different than my life review. It was like, a lot of near-death experiencers say that they don't have human words to convey what it's like, but it felt like a trillion orgasms on top of every one of the trillions of cells inside of your body. It was like the most ecstatic, blissed out feeling that you could ever imagine. It was a sense of reunion came through, joy, and there was peace and serenity, and it just truly felt like home. Not home like where all your stuff is, but like an eternal, etheric home that is imprinted inside of me, and I just never had access to it before.
God.
So I was like, okay, this experience is great. I'm loving this a lot more. Maybe I am dead, and like, this is okay. And then I started to get downloaded with a bunch of information. So it kind of felt like I was just in this vast whiteness, like just white light. And then all of a sudden, it felt like my mind's eye started to construct shapes around me. And the shapes that were coming through were these scenes. And the first scene, I found myself around thousands of other souls. And I felt like I was part of a spiritual army. And then there was a commander in the center of all of us. It was like this large beam of light. And the commander was saying that we are the bravest, most special volunteers, that we've all signed up to come to Earth for the Great Awakening. Again, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know what the Great Awakening is. I just know that I'm a part of it. Like whatever this light is telling me, I'm automatically accepting it as truth. You know, on Earth, we like question everything. Somebody's like, "The sky is blue," and we're like, "Well, is it blue or is it more of a turquoise?" And like we're always questioning. "Sky is blue," and we're like, "Well, is it blue or is it more of a turquoise?" And like we're always questioning everything. But in this space,
the actual dying process, I suppose it started with my kidneys failing, but the dying process was so beautiful, and it was so clear, you know, because to go from screaming pain and agonizing pain and in an instant, it really does all get removed, you know. It's this weightlessness that you can feel. It's like laying in a perfect sun patch. It is this insurmountable amount of I have something called EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's a connective tissue disorder that disrupts the production of collagen, which basically keeps your organs safe. There's many different subtypes. It's genetic, and it essentially makes me prone to organ disruption, organ dissection, organ failure, and there is unfortunately no cure for it yet. So, you know, genetically, I think I kind of always knew that I was dealing with a rubber set of cards, but I was always really healthy until I wasn't, and the downfall happened very, very quickly. And I'm very blessed to say that while my parents are no longer alive, I was blessed with wonderful parents who instilled the purpose of love and kindness, right? Mostly just because the world needs it, not so much for the purpose of an afterlife. So with a brother who's a nanoparticle physicist, I guess you could say I was really always closer to science than I ever was to any kind of real faith. And I lost a lot of faith in the medical and the science community as I got sick, because for years, I was losing the ability to walk and breathe and eat. My body was destroying itself from the inside out. My internal bleeds were so bad. At one point, blood was literally coming out of my eyes and my ears. I had been in screaming pain. And unfortunately, if there's no cure for something, they can't really do a whole lot for you, other than turn you into a guinea pig. And that was just me. It was ruining my quality of life. And oh man, the actual dying process, I suppose it started with my kidneys failing, but the dying process was so beautiful, and it was so clear, you know, because to go from screaming pain and agonizing pain and in an instant, it really does all get removed, you know. It's this weightlessness that you can feel. It's like laying in a perfect sun patch. It is this insurmountable amount of love. I did kind of know that I was passing at the time, right? Because there was an awareness of hearing the doctors tell my husband they were keeping me as comfortable as possible in that way that they do. But I guess it started for me with music. It's beautiful. It was like a symphony of orchestras all harmonizing together. And it started with trumpets, the most beautiful trumpets that I don't even think that we have on Earth. Nothing sounds quite like this. And it grows and it builds, and it was deafening in the most intrinsic and enthralling way. God, the music and the colors, you know,
Damn it.
I keep getting ahead of myself. From the removal of pain, I heard a voice. And as somebody who had been, you know, atheistic for most of their life, there is no questioning what this voice is, because you can get a song stuck in your head and hear it in your head. This is like an all-encompassing, all-consuming, it's the only thing that you hear, and it's so unfamiliar, but it's also perfectly familiar, and it's deep, and it's warm, and there's no doubt that you're talking to God. And he asked me what I believed in. And I think ultimately, it's an instinct. You don't really get to think about it. You're sort of, there's answers that come up. And I said that I believed in the universe and the power of love. And that's when it felt like traveling, like through a wormhole, right? And there is this removal of pain, this incredible music, and this love and these colors. We spoke like he was real, and it happens at what feels like the speed of light. And obviously, if you're not conscious, it's all happening telepathically, so to speak. Except he's not. He is. I mean, you can. There's no questioning. And I got to talk to everybody I knew that I loved that had passed away. Both parents. My first husband died. My best friend died, and there is no question that it's really them, but it was like they each had something different to show me and to teach me, right? Almost like they were helping me with the transition between realms. I learned all about myself, my personality, my character traits, right? My sickness, everything. Goodness, you get to ask every question you've ever wondered, right? But you don't even have to ask them, they just come at you at the speed of light. And I got to learn about, I asked about what is it when someone gets stuck in your head, and what is deja vu, and are old souls real, and why do good things happen to bad people, and why do bad things happen to good people, and why do kids get cancer, and are soulmates real, and you get all of it, and it all makes sense. It just is the most real thing. I got to see how the next dimension sees us, and it was essentially as beams of light, right? That glow that we have. Goodness, you learn how interconnected everything is, right? How interconnected all people are, how every bit of the earth is, how it all really moves. It felt like I was getting years of information. I was convinced that there was no way I was going to be able to ever come back to life with getting this, right? Ultimately, I was told that training was not for me. There was truly so much more to the experience. But I think all of that was fueled by my second dying experience, which is why sometimes I tend to gloss over the first experience. But when I came back to life, so much of my suffering had been removed, right? I wasn't in pain anymore. I was functioning better. I immediately had a better quality of life. But I was aware that I was still dying, right? And for those that might see this that aren't maybe chronically ill, for example, when your body is shutting down, you can feel it. You can feel as your organs are struggling, and the same goes for healing, though. When you come back and you're being healed, you can feel it. I mean, there were signs left and right that it was real. So my husband and I decided to move to St. Thomas for a better quality of life for the last, what we anticipated being year of my life. Fun fact, the first time that I died, it was the same day that both of my parents died. They died on the same day, 10 years apart, which was the same day I died. And so my quality of life in St. Thomas was better, right? It was beautiful. My suffering had been removed. It was answered for me finally that there is a God, that He truly is just. He is nothing but glorious, right? There's an answer and a reason for everything, and even though we don't get it, right? It's just because we're children and we're impatient and we're so ego-driven, right? Oh, goodness. And so one day I woke up and I heard single trumpets. And of course I turned to my husband and I'm like, do you hear those? Kind of hoping he was going to be like, there's trumpet players outside. And he looked at me with eyes full of love. And he said, no, I don't hear any trumpets. And I knew that was the beginning of my terminal lucidity, and it was. And I learned so much the first time I died, so much about myself, about humans, and the earth, and how it all functions. And I did learn a lot about how important faith is, but how far off we've gotten because of religion, right? Because in truth, what God explained to me was that every religion still only has about 10% right, and humans will never get it unless they slam them all together for the truth. But because so many of the ideas seem like paradoxes, there's no way that they can be true, right? We just kind of eliminate it when in fact it does all need to be slammed together, because it is all real and right and true, and we're trying to fight about these details because we have these differing words or whatever, right? And this is, I suppose, relative, but the second time I was hearing trumpets, and I started to really kind of wonder. I mean, I think I've had a life of existential crises, right? As far as an afterlife, right? I had one parent that believed in an afterlife and one that didn't, and they were both such good people that it was only starting to really get to me of, are they together in the afterlife, right? You can speak to them separately. I got to talk to them both the first time I died. And they were explaining these levels and these layers of things that really made no sense to me. It was about their work and their recharging, and it wasn't until the second time that everything sort of clicked a little bit easier. But it was concerning me that I hadn't heard anything about Jesus, right? So I asked my husband to baptize me, and he did in the bathtub right after I heard trumpets. And after that, I saw Jesus. I saw him as if he was standing right in front of me. He covered me in his blood in the most vivid, what could be described as gloriously gory way. But it was, I felt safe and I felt protected. When it was time to go for my big sleep, I laid in my husband's lap and we laid in bed. And goodness, we're explaining these levels and these layers of things that really made no sense to me. It was about their work and their recharging, and it wasn't until the second time that everything sort of clicked a little bit easier. But it was concerning me that I hadn't heard anything about Jesus, right? So I asked my husband to baptize me, and he did in the bathtub right after I heard trumpets. And after that, I saw Jesus. I saw him as if he was standing right in front of me. He covered me in his blood in the most vivid, what could be described as gloriously gory way. But it was, I felt safe and I felt protected. When it was time to go for my big sleep, I laid in my husband's lap and we laid in bed. And goodness, the moment I died, I know my eyes opened, because you're still somehow aware of that, right? And it was, I didn't just hear God, I got to hug him. I got to wrap my arms around his neck. I got to sit in his lap. I got to play by his ankles. He's huge. He's like bigger than the cosmos big, right? And when you sit in his lap, it's so healing. It's recharging. It's so cozy. Even though like a million of us could fit there at once, you know. And when you're in his lap and you're able to see, he like shares it all with you, because somehow, in an indescribable way, you get all of the answers, like all of the universe's information at you, right? Like things that have nothing to do with you or your life as a human, right? Just, I mean, literally everything. It was like I got to go to work with him, right? It was like, bring your daughter to work day, because I got to watch him like expand the cosmos. I got to go through black holes and white holes. And he showed me the past and the present and the future. And he showed me my section of garden, which I think is the Garden of Eden, right? And it is so beautiful. And it has a real location, just like heaven does. I got to go to heaven, and I got to learn all about how there are absolutely slices of heaven and hell on earth, right, within our own consciousness that we can see, but that I wasn't supposed to be confused, because they were also very real places, you know. And you get to, you see all these other souls working, and you see them, and they love it, you know, and they're so busy in all their different layers and levels, but I hate using the word layer or level, because it does sound more like there's a hierarchy. When if you cut open an orange and you consider like the inside of the orange, the afterlife, this is such a bad analogy already. But like you can be like, oh sure, this is center and this is top, until you turn the orange, right? And when you're up there, while God is stationary, I suppose, is one way to put it, you can see the flow of everything, and it's like this big, beautiful, it's colorful and it's a globe, but it's like, he's blue in a way. It's so hard to describe it. It's like a dodecahedron in a way. But it's like, he's blue in a way. It's so hard to describe it. It's like a dodecahedron, Merkaba-shaped sand timer that creates these like folds of the universe. I mean, it's incredible. I feel so crazy saying this. I was raised with zero religious education, right? So I got to meet like his archangels, and you can see where Jesus sits, and Gabriel and Michael, and you're talking to all these people. And it wasn't until I came back to life. My husband had been holding on to my very cold, dead body for almost an hour. He was not ready to let the medics take me yet. They had already been in to, do their thing. And when he kissed me one last time is when I came back to life. And I took the biggest, cleanest breath of my life.
Today's episode is with Jane Osborne, and it's what started off as a discussion about AAE became about her work as a past life regression therapist, and the way that she talks about the details of how the soul works and how we incarnate is fascinating. So if you're interested in this topic, then be sure to watch today, because we really don't need to die in order to connect with the other side. There are other ways. And this is just one way that you can connect to find out more about who you are and what your purpose is in this life. So I hope you enjoy it as much as I did.
If this channel resonates with you, please subscribe.
How it all started was, it was one bank holiday Monday, August bank holiday Monday, and I was a pretty active, adventurous kind of person doing extreme sports. This bank holiday Monday, I decided to go to the Peak District, which is a national park around here. And I went to the Peak District, and I was base jumping off cliff edges with a parachute, taking my camera with me. And this particular time, I was just jumping off Cat's Tor. It's called Cat's Tor. And I was up in the thermals looking down, taking photographs. And
God damn it.
I just had this enormous pull back from nowhere. I was 1,500 foot in the air, I could tell by, my watch. I was 1,500 foot in the air, and I just got this enormous pull back, which cracked my ribs, so that was really difficult. And as I was looking around to see what had happened, I mean, what do you run into up there? As I was looking around, I noticed that my emergency parachute had deployed accidentally, which is pretty terrifying in itself. But I was looking at it, thinking, "Oh, what am I going to do now?" Then I heard it was all a message in my mind that I just knew it was coming for me, and so I was watching it, and it came down and across. And I thought, oh, it's just going to miss us. And then it went into the main parachute, and poof, I dropped like a bullet. 1,000 foot I was then. 1,000 foot right the way down. Dropped like a bullet. And because I was still attached to 2 parachutes, even though I was down, I knew that I really injured myself. But even though I was down, the wind was then going into the parachutes, and it dragged me like a rag doll all across the rocks. So I just looked like something off a butcher's block. It was awful. I was so badly bruised and injured. And I spent about, because they were giving me so much medication to keep me still. I think it was about a week that I was in when I was kind of coming to. And that was only because of the medication, because they had to keep me still. The consultant finally said, we've done this X-ray, that X-ray, etc., scan, and you broke your back. I broke my back, a lot of bones in my body. I crushed my spine. I broke my neck in 2 places. And they said that, we're going to see what we can do for you, but, you've got to face the fact that you are going to be paralysed for life. And then he just walked out the room, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh, don't say that and then leave me. And I got really, really emotional because I was scared. I mean, all I could do was look at the ceiling. I only had my eyes, my ears, and my voice. I couldn't move a thing. And I was looking up at the ceiling, and I was thinking, this can't be right. It just can't be right. I'm super fit. Something's got to be done. Somebody's got to fix me. And the reality hit, and I thought, I'm just going to be looking out of this body through my eyes. And it's going to be like a coffin. And I got really, really scared, and I prayed with all my heart, God help me, get me out of here. And bingo, I was out. I was out in the corner of the room, looking down at me. That was quite a surprise. And I knew I was connected to the body down there. It looked a terrible mess. And then I began to think, if that is me down there, this is the logic, if that is me down there, and I'm up here, then I must be dead. But if I'm dead, why am I thinking? I couldn't get my head around all of that. And then I heard this boom of a voice inside my head. And it said, Jane, what are you doing here? And it really startled me. And they said, you've got to go back. And I was thinking, I'm going crazy now. Not only am I paralysed, I'm going schizophrenic. I can hear all these people in my head. And they said, I heard a message saying, we've been showing you how to work. You need to go back and start healing people through the power of the mind. And I thought, what? You know, I'm paralyzed for life. There's nothing I can do for anybody. And they were showing me in the dreams how to work and everything, and just a thought in my head. But obviously they can understand all thoughts, they're telepathic. I just said to myself, whoever this is, if they think I've studied law all these years to go law, well, they've got another thing coming. I ain't doing it. And I just heard, you will, and woof, I went straight back into my body and in all the pain and everything. I was looking up the ceiling and I was thinking, well, how am I going to work all this out? And I needed something to focus on, so I got a laptop, Velcroed onto a hospital table. Because from where I was before, I want facts, case studies, evidence. And I thought, well, I've only got my eyes, I'll read. So I started to study, and I studied lots and lots of case studies, read all about Dr. Weiss, Ian Stevenson, you know, Mr. Moody and his out-of-body experiences and everything. And I thought, yeah, maybe there's something in this. And that is how I first began. And because I'm quite competitive, because I wanted to be a good past life regressionist, I specifically studied hypnotherapy, but I specialise in past life regression. It was a long journey. It took me nearly 5 years to learn to walk. You couldn't tell now, look, I can turn my head and everything, it's amazing. But it was a long journey of patience, of which I had very little at the time. So it was very, very frustrating. And that's how I began, starting off. Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Questions. Firstly, what got you started in base jumping? I mean, that's quite an extreme sport.
I was an outdoor extreme sport instructor, so I would be rock climbing, caving, abseiling, whitewater rafting, skiing, and anything. I'd give it a go. So, just one too many. It's a numbers game, and my time was up with it. But so I finished all of that. Obviously, I had to have quite a lot of operations. I think about 17 in order to be where I am today. But I do work with clients, and the more that I work with them, the more I find out, the more questions I have, because they bring so much, and I'm like, well, how does this work? How come you can do this? And because people may go to a past life regression, or they may go to a different planet. You don't know where you're going to go. It's absolutely amazing. And I use, because this is what's been channeled to me, I needed to use what they said, sound frequency. Everything they tell me is, all healing can be done by frequency. So I use my crystals, sound frequency. I've got various musical wands and things, and tuning forks. I like using tuning forks. And I just go to some fascinating places. I mean, like this morning, it was an Italian in England.
I do.
But he had a past life as a pharaoh, and he was telling me that he went down into the pyramid. He was telling me that he was down into the pyramid. He said it was very, very early on.
What happens when science meets spirituality, and when atheist has near-death experience? Well, we will find out, because the near-death experience reawakened his first sense. I am super excited to have our today's guest, Ray Catania. Hopefully I'm pronouncing the last name correct. And I will just read his bio so I don't miss anything. Ray is a metaphysical teacher, master certified life coach, and award-winning author whose work bridges science and spirituality. He's passionate about helping people to get unstuck, tap into the power of their mind, and create the life they truly deserve. Ray's first book, The Atheist in the Afterlife, tells the story of his own spiritual awakening, while his follow-up, You Are Still Alive, Now Act Like It, offers the practical tools and insights to help others on their journey. He also is postgraduate in metaphysics and pursuing his PhD in metaphysical psychology. And he is an ordained minister, a master Usui Reiki instructor, and certified meditation instructor. At the heart of his work and his intuitive ability to help people move past trauma and self-doubt to find last inner peace. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. First of all, everybody wants to know what is it about the near-death experience and all the sudden changes in perspective on life. When I had clients and they came in with these kind of experiences, they would share that it was very hard to get back into society. It's kind of like you get infused with this love that our world is not ready for it yet. It's like the one client would say, I had this feeling like, I love everybody. Here's my purse. You want some money? Go ahead. Just you can have it all. I don't care. But that is really hard because you have to somehow still pay the bills after that.
Yeah.
And then you probably going through the questions like, why we all not have that feeling? What would you say to that?
So I had my NDE at an early age. I was only 20 years old when I had it. And before that, I was a very confused young person. I grew up in a home that had a lot of trauma, drama, fighting, yelling, all the things that you probably don't want to have growing up. But so my family was Catholic, and so I was brought up that way. But being brought up, the things that I was taught, it didn't really match up with my life. And in other words, what loving God would allow these things to happen to a child? Why am I seeing what I'm seeing? Why am I here? It just didn't make sense to me, and I rebelled against it. So I went all the way to the other side, and that was atheism. And I probably didn't even know what that meant. But I knew that I was rebelling against my parents and going as far to the other side as I possibly could. So I would define myself as an atheist and believing in nothing. And still living at home at the age of 20, there is a fire in my home. And the kitchen was on the first floor, obviously, and the second floor was my bedroom, and my bedroom was directly above the kitchen. So the way the fire started, it was the stove, and there was a gas leak. And the gas was natural gas, and it was rising up into my room while I was sleeping overnight. So in the morning, my mother got up, and I guess she turned the stove on to make breakfast or what have you. And there was a ball of flames, the wall caught fire, and there was smoke, and it was relatively small. They have these emergency shut-off valves that are built into the stoves. So it wasn't the fire and it wasn't the smoke. That was put out pretty quickly by my parents. It was the gas. I was inhaling gas fumes for hours and hours. So I hear the police and fire trucks, and I hear all this commotion that's going on downstairs, and I don't know what's happening, but it wakes me up. And I try to get out of bed.
Goddamn Christ.
Here's the first sign that something is seriously wrong. I find that I can't move my legs. I can't even feel them. I couldn't lift my head off the pillow. It felt like it just weighed 1,000 pounds. I couldn't yell. Just parts of my body were completely paralyzed. And obviously I knew something was seriously wrong, and I'm hearing the commotion, but I don't know what's happening yet. So my right arm worked well, my left so-so, but I was trying to pull myself to the edge of the bed. And I would kind of pull myself a little bit, and then I would pass out, and then something would wake me up again, and I would pull myself a little more, and then I would pass out. And this went on a few times, and finally, I knew that if I didn't get out of that bed, I was dead. And I gave it everything I had, and I just pulled, and I tumbled out of the bed, and I hit face first. Now, when you get hit, there's that initial shock before the pain, right? Before the pain sets in. Well, there was the shock, and I was kind of waiting for the pain, but it never came. There was no pain. And that's because I wasn't in that body anymore. I was above it, and I was in the adjacent corner, and I was looking down at my body, my lifeless body on the floor. Now, you would think that I would be petrified, but I wasn't. For some reason, I wasn't scared at all. In fact, I felt amazing. I mean, it was a beautiful feeling. It was a euphoric feeling. And everything was more vivid. And adjacent to me, in the opposite corner, is a huge cone-shaped white light. And calling this a white light is just really doing it a disservice, because this is not a light. I don't know how to explain what this is, but this light is love, is peace, is calm, is painlessness, is euphoria. It is all things that are beautiful. And I was a part of the light. The light is shining on my energetic self, not my dead self, my energetic self. And I was one with the light. I was a part of it. And it was tunneling, and I wanted to go into the tunnel. And at the end of the light, there was a being who said, "It's okay, Ray. It's okay to come into the light." And I was like, wow, it knows my name. And I started to proceed into the light. As I went in a little further and a little further, the euphoria increased. And I was like, this is amazing. I can't wait to get to the other side. I want to see what's on the other side. And I'm starting to travel through. And as I do that, the door bursts in. My father had kicked in the door, seen me on the floor, scooped me up, and was screaming for the paramedics. Now, this man was distraught. He was yelling, screaming, "Help my son, help my son." And, you know, we didn't have a good relationship. So I never really saw him that way. I didn't really know how he felt about me. It was always anger, anger, anger. And to see him holding me, hugging me, and crying, I was like, he loves me. And I longed for that my whole life.
The Book of Job, Chapter 1. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God, and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, "It may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed God in their hearts." Thus did Job continually. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, "Whence comest thou?" Then Satan answered the Lord and said, "From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it." And the Lord said unto Satan, "Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God, and escheweth evil?" Then Satan answered the Lord, and said, "Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face." And the Lord said unto Satan, "Behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job, and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabaeans fell upon them, and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only have escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Then Job arose, then rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground, and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. Job 2. Again there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. And Satan came also among them to present himself before the Lord. And the Lord said unto Satan, From whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord, and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? And still he holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. And Satan answered the Lord and said, Skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath will he give for his life. But put forth thy hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, he is in thine hand, but save his life. So went Satan forth from the presence of the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils, from the sole of his foot unto his crown. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. But he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God? And shall we not receive evil? In all this did not Job sin with his lips. Now when Job's 3 friends heard all this evil that was come upon him, there came every one from his own place, Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite, that they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him. And when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not, they lifted up their voice and wept. And they rent every one his mantle, and sprinkled dust upon their heads toward heaven. So they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw that his grief was very great. Job 3. After this, opened Job his mouth, and cursed his day. And Job spake and said, Let the day perish wherein I was born, and the night in which it was said, there is a man-child conceived, let that day be darkness, let not God regard it from above, neither let the light shine upon it. Let darkness and the shadow of death stain it. Let a cloud dwell upon it, let the blackness of the day terrify it. As for that night, let darkness seize upon it. Let it not be joined unto the days of the year, let it not come into the number of the months. Lo, let that night be solitary, let no joyful voice come therein. Let them curse it that curse the day, who are ready to raise up their mourning. Let the stars of the twilight thereof be dark. Let it look for light, but have none. Neither let it see the dawning of the day. Because it shut not up the doors of my mother's womb, nor hid sorrow from mine eyes. Why died I not from the womb? Why did I not give up the ghost when I came out of the belly? Why did the knee shit? Or why the breast that I should suck? For now should I have lain still and been quiet, I should have slept, then had I been at rest. With kings and counsellors of the earth, which built desolate places for themselves, or with princes that had gold, who filled their houses with silver, or as an hidden untimely birth I had not been, as infants which never saw light. There the wicked cease from troubling, and there the weary be at rest. There the prisoners rest together, they hear not the voice of the oppressor. The small and great are there, and the servant is free from his master. Wherefore is light given to him that is in misery, and life unto the bidden soul, which longs for death, but it cometh not, and dig for it more than for hid treasures, which rejoice exceedingly, and are glad when they can find the grave. Why is light given to a man whose way is hid, and whom God hath hedged in? For my sign cometh before I eat, and my warnings are poured out like the waters. For the thing which I greatly feared is come upon me, and that which I was afraid of is come unto me. I was not in safety, neither had I rest, neither was I quiet, yet trouble came.
God damn it.
Job 4. Then Eliphaz the Temanite answered and said, If we essay to commune with thee, wilt thou be grieved? But who can withhold himself from speaking? Behold, thou hast instructed many, and thou hast strengthened the weak hands. Thy words have upholden him that was falling, and thou hast strengthened the feeble knees. But now it is come upon thee, and thou faintest. It toucheth thee, and thou art troubled. Is not this thy fear, thy confidence, thy hope, and the uprightness of thy ways? Remember, I pray thee, whoever perished being innocent, or where were the righteous cut off? Even as I have seen, they that plough iniquity and sow wickedness reap the same. By the blast of God they perish, and by the breath of his nostrils are they consumed. The roaring of the lion, and the voice of the fierce lion, and the teeth of the young lions are broken. The old lion perisheth for lack of prey, and the stout lion's whelps are scattered abroad. Now a thing was secretly brought to me, and mine ear received a little thereof, in thoughts from the visions of the night, when deep sleep falleth on men. Fear came upon me, and trembling which made all my bones to shake. Then a spirit passed before my face, the hair of my flesh stood up, it stood still, but I could not discern the form thereof. An image was before mine eyes, there was silence, and I heard a voice saying, Shall mortal man be more just than God? Shall a man be more pure than his Maker? Behold, he put no trust in his servants, and his angels he charged with folly. How much less in them that dwell in houses of clay, whose foundation is in the dust, which are crushed before the moth. They are destroyed from morning to evening. They perish forever, without any regarding it. Doth not their excellency which is in them go away? They die, even without wisdom. Job 5. Call now if there be any that will answer thee, and to which of the saints wilt thou turn? For wrath killeth the foolish man, and envy slayeth the silly one. I have seen the foolish taking root, but suddenly I cursed his habitation. His children are far from safety, and they are crushed in the gate. Neither is there any to deliver them. Whose harvest the hungry eateth up, and taketh it, even out of the thorns, and the robber swalloweth up their substance. Although affliction cometh not forth of the dust, neither doth trouble spring out of the ground. Yet man is born unto trouble, as the sparks fly upward. I would seek unto God, and unto God would I commit my cause, which doeth great things, and unsearchable, marvelous things without number, who giveth rain upon the earth, and sendeth waters upon the fields, who set upon high those that be low, that those which mourn may be exalted to safety. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the froward is carried headlong. They meet with darkness in the daytime, and grope in the noondays in the night. But he saveth the poor from the sword, from their mouth, and from the hand of the mighty. So the poor have hope, and iniquity stoppeth her mouth. Behold, happy is the man whom God correcteth. Therefore despise not thou the chastening of the Almighty. For he maketh sore, and bindeth up. He woundeth, and his hands make whole. He shall deliver thee in 6 troubles, yea, in 7 there shall no evil touch thee. In famine he shall redeem thee from death, and in war from the power of the sword. Thou shalt be hid from the scourge of the tongue, neither shalt thou be afraid of destruction when it cometh. At destruction and famine thou shalt laugh, neither shalt thou be afraid of the beast of the earth. For thou shalt be in league with the stones of the field, and the beast of the field shall be at peace with thee. And thou shalt know that thy tabernacle shall be in peace, and thou shalt visit thy habitation, and shalt not sin. Thou shalt know also that thy seed shall be great, and thine offspring as the grass of the earth. Thou shalt come to thy grave in a full age, like as a shock of corn cometh in his season. Lo, this, we have searched it, so it is, hear it, and know thou it, for thy good. Job 6. But Job answered and said, Oh, that my grief were thoroughly laid, and my calamity laid in the balances together. For now it would be heavier than the sand of the sea. Therefore my words are swallowed up. For the arrows of the Almighty are within me. The poison whereof drinketh up my spirit. The terrors of God do set themselves in array against me. Doth the wild ass bray when he hath grass, or loweth the ox over his fodder? Can that which is unsavory be eaten without salt? Or is there any taste in the white of an egg? The things that my soul refused to touch are as my sorrowful meat. Oh, that I might have my request, and that God would grant me the thing that I long for. Even that it would please God to destroy me, that he would let loose his hand and cut me off. Then should I yet have comfort, yea, I would harden myself in sorrow. Let him not spare, for I have not concealed the words of the Holy One. What is my strength that I should hope, and what is mine end that I should prolong my life? Is my strength the strength of stones, or is my flesh of brass? Is not my help in me, and is wisdom driven quite from me? To him that is afflicted pity should be shown from his friend, but he forsaketh the fear of the Almighty. My brethren have dealt deceitfully as a brook, and as the stream of brooks they pass away, which are blackish by reason of the ice, and wherein the snow is hid. What time they wax warm, they vanish. When it is hot, they are consumed out of their place. The paths of their way are turned aside. They go to nothing and perish. The troops of Tema looked. The companies of Sheba waited for them. They were confounded because they had hoped. They came thither and were ashamed. For now ye are nothing. Ye see my casting down unafraid. Did I say bring unto me, or give a reward for me of your substance, or deliver me from the enemy's hand, or redeem me from the hand of the mighty? Teach me, and I will hold my tongue, and cause me to understand wherein I have erred. How forcible are right words! But what doth your arguing reprove? Do ye imagine to reprove words, and the speeches of one that is desperate, which are as wind? Yea, ye overwhelm the fatherless, and ye dig a pit for your friend. Now therefore be content, look upon me, for it is evident unto you if I lie. Return, I pray you, let it not be iniquity. Yea, return again, my righteousness is in it. Is there iniquity in my tongue? Cannot my taste discern perverse things? Job 7. Is there not an appointed time to man upon earth? Are not his days also like the days of an hireling? As a servant earnestly desireth the shadow, and as an hireling looketh for the reward of his work, so am I made to possess months of vanity, and wearisome nights are appointed to me. When I lie down, I say, when shall I arise, and the night be gone? And I am full of tossings to and fro unto the dawning of the day. My flesh is clothed with worms and clods of dust. My skin is broken and become loathsome. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and are spent without hope. Oh, remember that my life is wind. Mine eye shall no more see good. The eye of him that hath seen me shall see me no more. Thine eyes are upon me, and I am not. As the cloud is consumed and vanisheth away, so he that goeth down to the grave shall come up no more. He shall return no more to his house, neither shall his place know him any more. Therefore I will not refrain my mouth. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I a sea or a whale that thou settest a watch over me? When I say my bed shall comfort me, my couch shall ease my complaint, then thou scarest me with dreams and terrifiest me through visions, so that my soul chooseth strangling and death rather than my life. I loathe it. I would not live always.
God damn it.
Let me alone for my days of vanity. What is man that thou shouldst magnify him, and that thou shouldst set thine heart upon him, and that thou shouldst visit him every morning and try him every moment? How long wilt thou not depart from me, nor let me alone till I swallow down my spittle? I have sinned. What shall I do unto thee, O thou preserver of men? Why hast thou set me as a mark against thee, so that I might burn to myself? And why dost thou not pardon my transgression and take away my iniquity? For now shall I sleep in the dust, and thou shalt seek me in the morning, but I shall not be. Job 8. Then answered Bildad the Shuhite and said, How long wilt thou speak these things? And how long shall the words of thy mouth be like a strong wind? Doth God pervert judgment, or doth the Almighty pervert justice? If thy children have sinned against him, and he hath cast them away for their transgression, if thou wouldst seek unto God betimes, and make thy supplication to the Almighty, if thou wert pure and upright, surely now he would awake for thee, and make the habitation of thy righteousness prosperous. Though thy beginning was small, yet thy latter end should greatly increase. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers. For we are not of yesterday, and know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow. Shall not they teach thee, and tell thee, and utter words out of their heart? Can the rush grow up without mire? Can the flag grow without water? Whilst it is yet in his greenness, and not cut down, it withereth before any other herb. So are the paths of all that forget God, and the hypocrite's hope shall perish. Whose hope shall be cut off, and whose trust shall be a spider's web? He shall lean upon his house, but it shall not stand. He shall hold it fast, but it shall not endure. He is green before the sun, and his branch shooteth forth in his garden. His roots are wrapped about the heap, and seeth the place of stones. If he destroy him from his place, then it shall deny him, saying, I have not seen thee. Behold, this is the joy of his way, and out of the earth shall others grow. Behold, God will not cast away a perfect man, neither will he help the evildoers, till he fill thy mouth with laughing and thy lips with rejoicing. They that hate thee shall be clothed with shame, and the dwelling place of the wicked shall come to naught. Job 9. Then Job answered and said, I know it is so of a truth, but how should man be just with God? If he will contend with him, he cannot answer him one of 1,000. He is wise in heart and mighty in strength. Who hath hardened himself against him, and hath prospered? Which removeth the mountains, and they know not? Which overturneth them in his anger? Which shaketh the earth out of her place, and the pillars thereof tremble? Which commandeth the sun, and it riseth not, and sealeth up the stars? Which alone spreadeth out the heavens, and treadeth upon the waves of the sea? Which maketh Arcturus, Orion, and Pleiades, and the chambers of the south? Which doeth great things past finding out, yea, and wonders without number? Lo, he goeth by me, and I see him not. He passeth on also, but I perceive him not. Behold, he taketh away. Who can hinder him? Who will say unto him, What doest thou? If God will not withdraw his anger, the proud helpers do stoop under him. How much less shall I answer him, and choose out my words to reason with him? Who, though I were righteous, yet would I not answer, but I would make supplication to my judge. If I had called, and he had answered me, yet would I not believe that he had hearkened unto my voice. For he breaketh me with a tempest, and multiplieth my wounds without cause. He will not suffer me to take my breath, but filleth me with bitterness. If I speak of strength, lo, he is strong. And if of judgment, who shall set me a time to plead? If I justify myself, mine own mouth shall condemn me. If I say I am perfect, it shall also prove me perverse. Though I were perfect, yet would I not know my soul. I would despise my life. This is one thing, therefore I said it. He destroyeth the perfect and the wicked. If the scourge slay suddenly, he will laugh at the trial of the innocent. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he? Now my days are swifter than a post. They flee away. They see no good. They are passed away as the swift ships, as the eagle that hasteth to the prey. If I say, I will forget my complaint, I will leave off my heaviness, and comfort myself. I am afraid of all my sorrows. I know that thou wilt not hold me innocent. If I be wicked, why then labor I in vain? If I wash myself with snow water, and make my hands never so clean, yet shalt thou plunge me in the ditch, and mine own clothes shall abhor me. For he is not a man as I am, that I should answer him, and we should come together in judgment. Neither is there any daysman betwixt us, that might lay his hand upon us both. Let him take his rod away from me, and let not his fear terrify me. Then would I speak, and not fear him, but it is not so with me. Job 10. My soul is weary of my life. I will leave my complaint upon myself. I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. I will say unto God, do not condemn me. Show me wherefore thou contendest with me. Is it good unto thee that thou shouldst oppress, that thou shouldst despise the work of thine hands, and shine upon the counsel of the wicked? Hast thou eyes of flesh, or seest thou as man seeth? Are thy days the days of man? Are thy years as man's days, that thou inquirest after mine iniquity, and searchest after my sin? Thou knowest that I am not wicked, and there is none that can deliver out of thine hand. Thine hands have made me and fashioned me together round about, yet thou dost destroy me. Remember, I beseech thee, that thou hast made me as the clay, and wilt thou bring me into dust again? Hast thou not poured me out as milk, and curdled me like cheese? Thou hast clothed me with skin and flesh, and hast fenced me with bones and sinews. Thou hast granted me life and favour, and thy visitation hath preserved my spirit. And these things hast thou hid in thine heart. I know that this is with thee. If I sin, then thou markest me, and thou wilt not acquit me from mine iniquity. If I be wicked, woe unto me. And if I be righteous, yet will I not lift up my head. I am full of confusion, therefore see thou mine affliction, for it increaseth. Thou huntest me as a fierce lion, and again thou showest thyself marvellous upon me. Thou renewest thy witnesses against me, and increasest thine indignation upon me. Changes and war are against me. Wherefore then hast thou brought me forth out of the womb? Oh, that I had given up the ghost, and no eye had seen me. I should have been as though I had not been. I should have been carried from the womb to the grave. Are not my days few? Cease then, and let me alone, that I may take comfort a little before I go whence I shall not return, even to the land of darkness and the shadow of death. A land of darkness as darkness itself, and of the shadow of death, without any order, and where the light is as darkness.
God damn it. God fucking damn it.
Job
God fucking damn it.
then answered Zophar, the Naamathite, and said, Should not the multitude of words be answered? And should a man full of talk be justified? Should thy lies make men hold their peace? And when thou mockest, shall no man make thee ashamed? For thou hast said, My doctrine is pure, and I am clean in thine eyes. But oh, that God would speak and open his lips against thee, that he would show thee the secrets of wisdom, that they are double to that which is. Know therefore that God exacteth of thee less than thine iniquity deserveth. Canst thou by searching find out God? Canst thou find out the Almighty unto perfection? It is as high as heaven. What canst thou do? Deeper than hell? What canst thou know? The measure thereof is longer than the earth, and broader than the sea. If he cut off, and shut up, or gather together, then who can hinder him? For he knoweth a vain man, he seeth wickedness also. Will he not then consider it? For vain man would be wise, though man be born like a wild ass's coat. If thou prepare thine heart and stretch out thine hands toward him, as high as heaven, what canst thou do? Deeper than hell, what canst thou know? The measure thereof is longer than the earth, and broader than the sea. If he cut off, and shut up, or gather together, then who can hinder him? For he knoweth a vain man, he seeth wickedness also. Will he not then consider it? For vain man would be wise, though man be born like a wild ass's coat. If thou prepare thine heart and stretch out thine hands toward him, if iniquity be in thine hand, put it far away, and let not wickedness dwell in thy tabernacles. For then shalt thou lift up thy face without spot Yea, thou shalt be steadfast, and shalt not fear, because thou shalt forget thy misery, and remember it as waters that pass away. And thine age shall be clearer than the noonday. Thou shalt shine forth, thou shalt be as the morning, and thou shalt be secure, because there is hope. Yea, thou shalt dig about thee, and thou shalt take thy rest in safety. Also thou shalt lie down, and none shall make thee afraid. Yea, many shall make suit unto thee. But the eyes of the wicked shall fail, and they shall not escape, and their hope shall be as the giving up of a ghost. Job 12. And Job answered and said, No doubt, but ye are the people, and wisdom shall die with you. But I have understanding as well as you. I am not inferior to you, yea, who knoweth not such things as these? I am one mocked of his neighbor, who calleth upon God, and he answereth him. The just upright man is laughed to scorn. He that is ready to slip with his feet is as a lamp despised in the thought of him that is at ease. The tabernacles of robbers prosper, and they that provoke God are secure, into whose hand God bringeth abundantly. But ask now the beasts, and they shall teach thee, and the fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee, or speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee, and the fishes of the sea shall declare unto thee. Who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord hath wrought this, in whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the breath of all mankind? Doth not the ear try words, and the mouth taste his meat? With the ancient is wisdom, and in length of days understanding. With him is wisdom and strength, he hath counsel and understanding. Behold, he breaketh down, and it cannot be built again. He shutteth up a man, and there can be no opening. Behold, he withholdeth the waters, and they dry up. Also he sendeth them out, and they overturn the earth. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. He leadeth counselors away spoiled, and maketh the judges fools. He looseth the bond of kings, and girdeth their loins with a girdle. He leadeth princes away spoiled, and overthroweth the mighty. He removeth away the speech of the trusty, and taketh away the understanding of the aged. He poureth contempt upon princes, and weakeneth the strength of the mighty. He discovereth deep things out of darkness, and bringeth out to light the shadow of death. He increaseth the nations, and destroyeth them. He enlargeth the nations, and straighteneth them again. He taketh away the heart of the chief of the people of the earth, and causeth them to wander in a wilderness where there is no way. They grope in the dark without light, and he maketh them to stagger like a drunken man. Job 13. Lo, mine eye hath seen all this, mine ear hath heard and understood it. What ye know, the same do I know also. I am not inferior unto you. Surely I would speak to the Almighty, and I desire to reason with God. For ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. Oh, that ye would altogether hold your peace, and it should be your wisdom. Hear now my reasoning, and hearken to the pleadings of my lips. Will ye speak wickedly for God, and talk deceitfully for him? Will ye accept his person? Will ye contend for God? Is it good that he should search you out? Or as one man mocketh another, do ye so mock him? He will surely reprove you if ye do secretly accept persons. Shall not his excellency make you afraid, and his dread fall upon you? Your remembrances are like unto ashes, your bodies to bodies of clay. Hold your peace, let me alone that I may speak, and let come on me what will. Wherefore do I take my flesh in my teeth, and put my life in mine hand? Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. but I will maintain mine own ways before him. He also shall be my salvation. For an hypocrite shall not come before him. Hear diligently my speech and my declaration with your ears. Behold now, I have ordered my cause. I know that I shall be justified. Who is he that will plead with me? For now, if I hold my tongue, I shall give up the ghost. Only, do not two things unto me. Then will I not hide myself from thee. Withdraw thine hand far from me, and let not thy dread make me afraid. Then call thou, and I will answer. Or let me speak, and answer thou me. How many are mine iniquities and sins? Make me to know my transgression and my sin. Wherefore hidest thou thy face, and holdest me for thine enemy? Wilt thou break a leaf driven to and fro? And wilt thou pursue the dry stubble? For thou writest bitter things against me, and makest me to possess the iniquities of my youth. Thou puttest my feet also in the stocks, and lookest narrowly unto all my paths. Thou settest a print upon the heels of my feet, and he, as a rotten thing, consumeth, as a garment that is moth-eaten. Job 14. Man that is born of a woman is of few days, and full of trouble. He cometh forth like a flower, and is cut down. He fleeth also as a shadow, and continueth not. And dost thou open thine eyes upon such an one, and bringest me into judgment with thee? Who can bring a clean thing out of an unclean? Not one. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou hast appointed his bounds that he cannot pass.
Son of a bitch.
Turn from him, that he may rest, till he shall accomplish as in hireling his day. For there is hope of a tree, if it be cut down, that it will sprout again, and that the tender branch thereof will not cease. Though the root thereof wax old in the earth, and the stalk thereof die in the ground, yet through the scent of the water it will bud, and bring forth boughs like a plant. But man dieth and wasteth away, yea, man giveth up the ghost. And where is he? As the waters fail from the sea, and the flood decayeth and drieth up, so man lieth down and riseth not, till the heavens be no more. They shall not awake, nor be raised out of their sleep. Oh, that thou wouldst hide me in the grave, that thou wouldst keep me secret, until thy wrath be past, that thou wouldst appoint me a set time and remember me. If a man die, shall he live again? All the days of my appointed time will I wait, till my change come. Thou shalt call, and I will answer thee. Thou wilt have a desire to the work of thine hands. But now thou numberest my steps. Dost thou not watch over my sin? My transgression is sealed up in a bag, and thou sewest up mine iniquity. And surely the mountain falling cometh to naught, and the rock is removed out of his place. The waters wear the stones. Thou washest away the things which grow out of the dust of the earth, and thou destroyest the hope of man. Thou prevailest for ever against him, and he passeth. Thou changest his countenance, and sendest him away. His sons come to honor, and he knoweth it not. And they are brought low, but he perceiveth it not of them. But his flesh upon him shall have pain, and his soul within him shall mourn. Job 15. Then answered Eliphaz the Temanite, and said, Should a wise man utter vain knowledge, and fill his belly with east wind? Should he reason with unprofitable talk, or with speeches wherewith he can do no good? Yea, Thou castest off fear, and restrainest prayer before God. For thy mouth uttereth thine iniquity, and thou choosest the tongue of the crafty. Thine own mouth condemneth thee, and not I, yea, thine own lips testify against thee. Art thou the first man that was born, or wast thou made before the hills? Hast thou heard the secret of God, and dost thou restrain wisdom to thyself? What knowest thou that we know not? What understandest thou which is not in us? With us are both the grey-headed and very aged men, much elder than thy father. Are the consolations of God small with thee? Is there any secret thing with thee? Why doth thine heart carry thee away? And what do thy eyes wink at, that thou turnest thy spirit against God, and lettest such words go out of thy mouth? What is man that he should be clean, and he which is born of a woman that he should be righteous? Behold, he putteth no trust in his saints, yea, the heavens are not clean in his sight. How much more abominable and filthy is man, which drinketh iniquity like water? I will show thee, hear me, and that which I have seen I will declare, which wise men have told from their fathers, and have not hid it, unto whom alone the earth was given, and no stranger passed among them. The wicked man travaileth with pain all his days, and the number of years is hidden to the oppressor. A dreadful sound is in his ears. In prosperity the destroyer shall come upon him. He believeth not that he shall return unto darkness, and he is waited for of the sword. He wandereth abroad for bread, saying, Where is it? He knoweth that the day of darkness is ready at his hand. Trouble and anguish shall make him afraid. They shall prevail against him as a king ready to the battle. For he stretcheth out his hand against God, and strengtheneth himself against the Almighty. He runneth upon him, even on his neck, upon the thick bosses of his bucklers, because he covereth his face with his fatness, and maketh collops of fat on his flanks. And he dwelleth in desolate cities, and in houses which no man inhabiteth, which are ready to become heaps. He shall not be rich, neither shall his substance continue, neither shall he prolong the perfection thereof upon the earth. He shall not depart out of darkness. The flame shall dry up his branches, and by the breath of his mouth shall he go away. Let not him that is deceived trust in vanity, for vanity shall be his recompense. It shall be accomplished before his time, and his branch shall not be green. He shall shake off his unripe grape as the vine, and shall cast off his flower as the olive. For the congregation of hypocrites shall be desolate, and fire shall consume the tabernacles of bribery. They conceive mischief, and bring forth vanity, and their belly prepareth deceit. Job 16. Then Job answered and said, I have heard many such things. Miserable comforters are ye all. Shall vain words have an end, or what emboldeneth thee that thou answerest? I also could speak as ye do. If your soul were in my soul's stead, I could heap up words against you and shake my head at you. But I would strengthen you with my mouth, and the moving of my lips should assuage your grief. Though I speak, my grief is not assuaged, and though I forbear, what am I eased? But now he hath made me weary. Thou hast made desolate all my company, and thou hast filled me with wrinkles, which is a witness against me. And my leanness rising up in me beareth witness to my face. He teareth me in his wrath, who hateth me. He gnasheth upon me with his teeth. Mine enemy sharpeneth his eyes upon me. They have gaped upon me with their mouth. They have smitten me upon the cheek reproachfully. They have gathered themselves together against me. God hath delivered me to the ungodly, and turned me over into the hands of the wicked. I was
Now that was a white man's
but he
shit.
hath broken me asunder. He hath also taken me by my neck, and shaken me to pieces, and set me up for his mark. His archers compass me round about. He cleaveth my reins asunder, and doth not
Now
spare.
that was a white man's
He
shit.
poureth out my gall upon the ground. He breaketh me with breach upon breach. He runs